Obura never brought up the subject again, but his parents were uneasy, for he was not himself. He had moods which could not be explained away by his imminent manhood. He was increasingly reflective, with eyes turned either inward to his thoughts or outwards and far away to things which no one else could see. His mother prayed fervently to Were to make the evil spell pass, to give her back the happy boy she had known before. A season passed. One day, Obura came home very late, and for the first time in months, he was friendly and relaxed. He appeared to have reached a decision. His mother was too thankful to mention the hour. She gave him food and went to his hut. The next day, the sun rose and hung warm and red in the sky, but Obura, who had lived under his mother's adage that the sun should never rise and find a man still asleep, and was therefore a habitual early riser, did not make his appearance. His mother thought that maybe he had slept late because he had gone to bed late and was therefore not alarmed. But as she was getting ready to leave for the fields, there was still no sign of her eldest son. She sent Nyabera to go to his hut to rouse him. Nyabera went and stood just outside the door and shouted, "Obura, Obura, Chieu!" There was no answer. She shouted louder, but still there was no answer, and then she banged on the door. No answer. She pushed on it with her hand and it flew open easily. There was no one in the hut. "Mother! Mother! Stop shouting, you mad child. What is it?" "He is not here." Akoko arrived on the spot almost before the words were out of her daughter's mouth. Sure enough, he was not there. His things were neatly put away as usual, almost as if nobody had slept in them. Maybe he had left early for the fields, but he had the appetite of a starved lion and had never been known to miss breakfast. Besides, he always informed his mother of his whereabouts or likely whereabouts before leaving so that a messenger could find him easily. The chief came out of his simba at the sound of the commotion. "What is all the noise so early in the morning?" he asked, alarmed. "Obura is not in his hut," said his mother, "and he has not eaten his breakfast," supplied his sister. The chief came to see for himself, as if other people's eyes were not good enough. But there was no denying it. The boy was gone. I will not worry," said he, as if to reassure himself. "A boy his age can be very thoughtless. Maybe he decided to go hunting on the spur of the moment and forgot to tell us." He led the way out of the hut. Akoko was so afraid she could hear her heart drumming away in her chest. "Great Were, please spare my son. Protect him. Remember all the sacrifices I have offered you on his behalf, and be merciful." She prayed fervently to herself, fearing to raise her voice in case the very air grabbed her words and made her fears a terrible reality. The chief sat in his hut for a while in deep thought, for he was not one to act rashly. Then he called his herdsman and briefly gave him some instructions. The herdsman came running back within an hour. My chief, they are both gone. They left last night before the first cockcrow. And here he stammered and then stopped. "And what, you fool? Tell me." The chief, a man never known to raise his voice, almost screamed at the hapless herdsman. "Yes, my chief, their family said they heard them talking to a third man just before they left, but they did not see him because it was very dark." Akoko fell down in a deep faint. Nyabera ran to her mother screaming and held her head. The chief started barking orders to a group of people who had now gathered to find out the cause of the commotion. "Get the scouts, except those on watch. Tell them to prepare 2 such parties, one to take the route of game and the other to follow the route of Asembo. Maybe we can intercept them before they reach very far." The search parties were hastily formed, each consisting of 12 men well trained in tracking game. The groups started out together but separated at the edge of the village. They were gone for 2 nights and 2 days, and while they were gone, Akoko lay prostrate on her papyrus pallet. She dared not sleep, for she was haunted by nightmares. She was beyond even praying to Were, and she lay there, hour after hour, staring, dull-eyed into space. Her children hung around her, trying to make her eat, but to no avail. Sometimes she said something to herself, but try as they would, they could not catch her words. The older women watching her feared for her sanity, for everyone knew that this was her son, just like the younger was his father's. He had been the only 17-year-old in the whole village who ever obeyed his mother without question. On the evening of the third day, the scouts trooped in, dejected and beaten. They need not to have talked, for their failure was evident in their very bearing, but a report had to be made nonetheless. "We greet you, our chief," they said formally, entering the chief's chamber. "I greet you, young man." He also answered formally. "What news do you bring?" he asked, as if it was not self-evident. But good manners is the fabric that holds the community together. We, that is those of us following the route of game, found their trail. We followed it up to the second village of game and lost it there. The people told us that the white men came there every 3 months to get people to work for them. They put people into those moving metal houses you have heard about, which move so fast. There is not knowing where they might be by now. So we came back because there is nothing further we could do. A low moan from the direction of the main hut was heard, the first sound in 3 days from that poor suffering woman. Her voice rose as she keyed in a high tone, a lonely, lost sound. Terrible to hear. It was almost as if the boy was dead, not just lost. The fearful premonition of doom that only a mother, closely connected as she is to the child, can sense, was in the air.